So let's get right to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Who's better, men or women?
Hey, before you jump in, I want to just kind of give a little framing for what you're about to watch. We recently went to Vegas for a business trip, and I got to interview with Javi. He is the COO of Ryan Pineda's company. And if you know anything about Ryan, he's got a lot going on. Okay, he's got lots of different legs, lots of different businesses. And for Javi to operate that thing is no joke. Not to mention, Javi was a salesperson first. And I know I'm a sales girl. And so to think about a salesperson going from operating to sales, like that is ninja stuff right there. So I'm so excited for you to watch this. Javi is such an amazing, nice guy. We talked about being a woman in sales, being a mom in sales, and really like why being a mom and being in business is one of the most amazing combinations of all time. So I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you in the next one.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Business Podcast. I'm your host, Javi Chavez, and today I'm with Macy McNeely. She is SalesGirls official trainer. She's trained thousands of salespeople, an expert, and I'm so excited to talk to her. And a great dresser.
Thank you, Javi. I'm so excited. Salespeople to salespeople.
Yeah. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Who's better, men or women, at sales?
This is what is so funny, Javi, is I've done a few podcast interviews, and that's like one of the first thing people ask. But I will say, we recently transitioned to SalesGirls. So we used to train everybody, but most of the people that were already coming were women. And so we were like, you know what, let's just work with what's working with us. So the reason that my answer is, first of all, I think everyone is great. Everyone's different. And
Political answer.
but I will be honest, Javi, like most of my life, I just don't really think about being a woman. I just think about being good, like excellent.
Good at what you do.
Yeah, like just excellent. Like don't use me because I'm people like love to
sure.
support like women business, which great. But listen, I'm the best. So just use me because I'm the best, not because I'm a woman.
100%.
But what I have found is that being a woman is actually one of the greatest superpowers in selling. The way that women can show empathy without like so much sympathy, they can really hold space for people. Their warmth and their just genuine ability to be like open and welcoming all the information possible, game changer. And more men than ever have been interested in hiring a sales girl. They're like, please give me a woman that can sell because they do so much better than men, is what they say.
It's true. Like,
why do you say that that's true?
I mean, I've just worked with colleagues that
Yeah.
are women that crush it. I've also now being a sales leader,
Yeah.
right? Like when I have women who come in and just like you mentioned, they're super empathetic. They're just able to make a connection with the prospects a lot more easily.
Yep.
People are willing to open up more, and and then when you add the mentality that a lot of like men typically have, like hunter mentality.
Yeah.
I'll take 1,000 of those people over 1,000 guys all day long.
That is so funny. And my husband's an entrepreneur as well, and he's like, I love working with women.
100%.
His favorite thing. And then there's another element, which is being a mom. I think being a mom, Sarah Blakely, do you know who Sarah Blakely is?
Of course, yeah.
She says, you want to get something done, ask a mom.
I believe it.
Because she gets it done. And I will say, like, I have a 1 and 3-year-old, and when I became a mom, my creativity went through the roof. And my content got so much better. And I'll tell you why, because when you can think through the lens of, okay, this sounds terrible, but if something were to happen to me, what would I want my kids to believe? Like, how would I want them to think about selling? How would I want them to think about being the best that they can be? And that's how we wrote our book. We were like, okay, if something were to happen to us and they only had this book, what would they want to believe? And everything got so clear. It was like so easy. We were so creative. And you can kind of think about your prospects kind of like that. Like you love them so much. You're not attached to what they do. You're not attached to the outcome, but you have so much intention and so much love and intentionality of like really guiding them into the best decision. Game changer. Also, sales skills as a mom.
Oh, I bet.
When you have kids, the way you're about to sell them all day, every day will change the parenting game for you.
So for moms
Yeah.
who need to start selling their kids on things,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what tips do you have for them?
So, I mean, you can say like, go brush your teeth all day long, or you could spend a little bit of time selling them on the belief that, what was your last name?
Chavez.
That we're the Chavezes and we like really take care of ourselves.
I love that.
And helping them believe that that's just like who we are as a family. They're naturally going to take the action. And ideally, you want your kids to act without you telling them what to do, but that they have the values, that they're sold on certain values that make them do the right thing. So if you can kind of think about that and practice that in your sales activity, that'll overflow into parenthood for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
So now circling back, why
Yeah.
do you feel like there aren't as many women in sales?
You know, it's a good question. I think people in general and women think that they have to sacrifice everything to be successful. They have to sacrifice their family. They have to sacrifice like being present. They have to sacrifice picking their kids up from school. But in reality, being in sales, all you need is your mouth and your brain, and you can make as many sales in as little time as you want to.
100%.
Like you can really do some damage in a little bit of time.
Oh yeah, and I think like now with the power of being remote, like
Game changer.
Prior to working here, obviously like I have to be in the office because I manage the team, but you know, I was working remote and I'd be spending maybe like 3 to 4 hours at most, like selling and still making great income.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, I think that's a common misconception that people have about like sales.
And you know, just the other day I was like, okay, we did like $45,000 in a day, and I was like, okay, so you're telling me I just used my brain and my mouth to communicate, made $45,000, and now I'm gonna leave here at 2:30, pick up my kids, like go to dinner with some friends, do bath time, and just wake up and do like what? In what universe is this even possible?
Exactly.
I mean, my mother-in-law always tells me, she's like, you know, when I was growing up, all we could do was like be nurses and teachers. Like that's what the culture was as a woman working, and now we can do so much in so little time. And in my opinion, when you are selling as a mom, you become selling changes you.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to become someone that people want to buy from, which makes you just be excellent, right? And that version, in my opinion, is the best version that you can offer for your kids. You know, just being in process of always being better. So selling makes me the best mom, and I'm so thankful for it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And now I've heard this a lot where people say, you know, it's the same skill set that required to sell like a $500 thing and like a $10 million thing.
Yeah. Do you think that?
I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think there are a few like nuances with just understanding who you're selling to, but the basic principles I think are very the same. What do you think?
I think it's way easier to sell higher ticket.
That's actually very true.
Don't you think?
The type of person that you're dealing with is they understand the value of whatever you're selling, right?
They think in value. They don't think in price.
Exactly.
But the lower ticket items, typically people are thinking about the price.
Yeah.
I mean, one time I was selling like a $297 program, and I got the most questions about that $297. I was like, I don't know if this is worth it.
So we just launched our like $97 mastermind.
Oh,
and
what is a $97 mastermind? That's crazy.
So it's called Wealthy University.
Okay.
So basically, they get a call a week with Ryan.
What?
But everybody in all of our communities get that call.
Cool.
Right. So one call and they get all of our courses.
Wow.
Right, because for us, we want to like lead with value.
So
and
good.
I don't know if you've seen this just in the education space. It's not that people have less money right now. It's like they're just less willing to part with it until they know, like, and trust you more. So what we've seen is for the longest time, we would just, you know, make an Instagram video. Somebody would book a call and they'd spend $25,000 with us to like join our high level masterminds.
Yeah.
Lately, that's kind of shifted a little bit. So people are still, you know, coming in and joining, but they have to come to
a few things.
2 or 3 wealth cons, a few events, whatever, right? So we're like, well, how do we do this at scale?
Speed it up.
And so we're like, all right, let's get
Is
it
it $97 a month?
$97 a month.
Okay.
Yep. And so they get access to our entire community.
Okay.
And then the reason why we do that call too is because we have everybody on it. So we do, hey, share your wins.
So good.
So then one guy's like, oh, I raised $8 million at WealthCon. And we're like,
what?
Yeah. And then so like our community is selling for us.
So good.
In the group.
That's so good. I love
and they
that.
get value,
Yeah.
right? And because they want to come, they want to talk to Ryan.
Yeah.
So, and that's like your reaction of like, hey, like $97? Like,
Well,
what's
I
that?
think it was the word mastermind that threw me off, because masterminds,
true.
when I think of masterminds, I just
you
think of
like
high level, you
for
know?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd call it more of like a community.
I love
is
it.
a better
That's
way
awesome.
to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of gets people in the door. But to circle back, we do get the most amount of questions or
for sure.
concerns or whatever
Yeah.
from those people. But
Yeah.
anybody who's spent, Ryan charges $100 for his one-on-one, and all those people are so easy.
100,000.
Yeah, 100,000. Yeah. No, $100.
Yeah, I just had to make sure. Yeah, but it's interesting because those people typically just haven't invested yet.
Exactly.
They haven't experienced what
Yeah.
it feels like to invest in their mind. And so, like, what I know I have to do is just always have this attitude check of, okay, I need to meet them where they are right now. And where they are is trying to see themselves as somebody that's worth investing in. And if that is a sell that I can sell someone on, is sell them on themselves that they're worth it. Even if it is $97, that is worth the discipline, the energy to do that. And then that first win that they get, which it sounds like they're going to get amazing wins, they'll start to ascend for
So
sure.
tell me about your community
Yeah.
and what you've built.
So we are the Sales Girls. And the best part about being a sales girl is that you become somebody that people want to buy from before they even know the offer. Do you know those kind of people?
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know exactly
Yeah, I don't
who
know
they
what
are.
she's selling, but I'm buying.
I don't know what they do, but there's something like I want to be around her. And what's amazing is that when you master sales skills, you become somebody who's extremely interested in other people. And when you're interested in other people, that's what actually magnifies or makes you magnetic to others. I will never forget when I started learning about selling, my dad taught me everything I know. And the first principle he taught me was, hey, don't talk about yourself. Like, play a game with yourself to never say the word I. When you're in conversation, just try to keep the focus on them. And I was like, okay, that was just a wild concept for me. Because you want to relate to someone when they're like, oh, I have a dog. You're like, I have a dog. I have a kid. I have a kid. That's so cool. We can relate. You're building rapport. You're building a relationship that you think. So we had actually just moved after I learned this concept. And I was sitting next to somebody. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And she started telling me about her work. And I said, oh, like, tell me more about how you got into your job. Tell me more about that. I'm like, okay, so I know that you live here. How long do you live there? Tell me about your, just really started, maybe 10 minutes. I learned all about her. And we split ways, and then I found her again, and she was like, oh my gosh, I was just telling so-and-so how much I loved you. She's like, I meant to get your phone number so that we can meet up later. And I was like, wow, she knows nothing about me, and yet she desires to be around me. Like, just giving someone a spotlight for just a second to talk about themselves makes you more magnetic. And then I started to realize, like, wow, when you actually learn about other people, you have like the power, like the person that's in power is the one that's listening. And it just absolutely blew my mind of what it could do to train your brain to think like a salesperson, not only of course to make money, but to just absolutely exude in all areas of your life. It blew my mind. So the Sales Girls, we master sales skills, yes, to make insane money and to be someone that has deep roots that people want to listen to. And also, we believe sales skills are life skills. And there are so many life commissions. That's what we like to call it, life commissions.
I love that term.
Oh my gosh, the way life commissions have paid off more than just about anything.
So can you give a couple examples of life commissions?
Oh man, gosh. I'm thinking about like one of the sales girls. She had just moved to Florida from like New York. And she was getting her nails done. And she was desperate. She'd been there for like 6 months and had no friends. And she actually took school sales, is what our program is called, to sell her offer. But she learned all these principles about how to just like be like in the people business more than anything. And she sat by somebody and she really focused on this principle of like, okay, I to you. How can I like learn about her and compliment her and encourage her? Everyone is just desperate for encouragement and for someone to like notice them. And she ended up getting invited to like a friend, like a dinner that night. And to get invited to someone else's group is such a big deal.
It is, especially a dinner party.
It's
not
such
like,
a big deal.
Hey, we're gonna go out in public.
And now she's like connected into a community and feels welcome and like loves where she lives now. To be invited and to be a part of a community is one of the most important things in life, to have friends. And that's a life commission that'll pay off forever. So that's like a little example.
That makes sense.
But there's a ton in parenthood, like getting your kid to actually come down for breakfast when it's time versus at World War III every single morning. That's a life commission. There's a lot of them. But I'll tell you what, the money is also a huge piece of the puzzle, because we really believe, scripture says, and I actually talked about this with Kate, and she said, Ryan talks about this, how a poor man's wisdom is despised. And how money like really makes it's the receipts that says you know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know we keep talking about motherhood, but you know, most people think that as your kids get older, they need you less. But it is my vision for my life is that my sons are 25 years old calling me on their way to their first interview. And they're like, Mom, I need coaching. Like, Mom, help me sell myself in this interview. Help me like practice. And they actually need me more than ever when they're 25, more than when they're 2. And then they call me back and they say, Mom, like I got the job, meet me at Brooks Brothers. Like, let's go get, oh my gosh, I feel like emotional thinking about this. But they want to talk to you because you have the receipts, not because you had like a little side thing, just a hobby, just because you wanted to play and like you didn't actually ask for the sale.
That you can actually provide value.
That you can add, like you have proof that you know what you're talking about because of the money that you've made. So we really talk about, yes, there's life commissions and like you've got to ask for the sale. I know, and women want to serve, they want to help, they want to advise.
I love that you just brought that up.
Like, ask for the sale.
100%, because that's, I mean, I know you just interviewed with Kate.
Yes.
But I briefly mentioned it. You know, she's great at building relationships.
Yes.
She initially was a sales girl.
Yeah.
And I moved her to customer experience because like she wouldn't ask for the sale.
You have to.
So like, what tips or strategies can you give to somebody to like
Oh my
actually go
gosh.
out and ask besides the obvious?
I mean, you obviously want to build a relationship.
Yeah. No, that's super important.
Of course.
Yeah, that's.
But like the way I personally see myself when I think about building a relationship, like I'm there for a reason. I don't want nobody to be confused why I'm talking to you. I am not here to mess around. I'm not here to just talk about anything and everything. I do want to know what's going on in your mind so that I can guide the conversation. So like, for example, I remember when I was first learning sales skills, this girl I was on the sales call. She was telling me about her adopted dogs and how much she loved her adopted dog so much. And I think probably someone like Kate would be like, oh, tell me about your dog. Like, what kind of dog? What are their names? How long have you had them? That's so cool. I have a dog. I love, like, trying to build a relationship with that kind of connection. And instead, what a sales girl does is kind of take that piece and use that as the reason to buy. So it's like, hey, when you master sales skills, you will have the money to be able to have the underground fence so that you can have more dogs and create the life that they want. So in order to like have this dream of yours, let's like get you enrolled so that you can have that. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, 100%.
That's the difference of using what they're telling you for a reason, not just to build a relationship.
100%.
Yeah.
No, and I remember my very first sales job, they called, I don't like this term, but they called it collecting bullets.
That is... Honestly, I don't hate that, but I also understand why you don't like it as
Yeah,
well.
I remembered it.
Yeah,
And so,
I call it ingredients. That's what I call it.
Ingredients is probably a better way to put
Yeah,
it.
ingredients to make your custom meal.
That's a much more PG way to put it.
Yeah, but it's fine. We can say bullets.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's the same concept of just
Yeah.
like collecting information that's going
Yeah.
to be useful to
Yeah.
close the deal
To
down the
move
road.
it, yeah.
Or to move the deal along the line. Because like
Yeah.
something that I would always tell people, and I tell our team upstairs, like your job as a salesperson is to help guide that person
Yes.
closer to making a decision.
Amen.
Like, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
and you need to ask questions that are going to continuously help them move further down the funnel. And then,
Yeah.
and I always say to a decision. I don't say to a sale because obviously, like, hopefully we did our job in discovery to make sure that these people are
I love that.
qualified.
Yeah.
But they still need to be guided to a decision.
Oh my
at the end of
gosh,
the day.
that's literally what we
Because
say. Yes.
maybe, and to use another death term, but maybe's death. Like if somebody gives you a maybe on
terrible.
Yeah, I'd rather a no, personally.
Oh, no question. No
Yeah.
question. Yeah. And I think also it's just like managing your own mind when you ask for the sale is more important than just, it's actually the harder part than just asking for the sale. Like I think probably someone who feels nervous, they ask for the sale and they hear maybe a little bit of silence and they think, oh, I need to like save them.
Yeah.
Let me like, when really they're in their mind, it's loud. Like in their mind, they're weighing the pros and cons and they actually need a little bit of space to think about it. And you being the person just to sit there with like a warm smile and presence is one of the best gifts that you can give them.
100%.
And so coaching like the sales girl and how you think, like what we like to say is what you're thinking about comes out in your eyes. So my thoughts when I'm asking for the sale and I'm waiting for them to tell me, my thoughts are like, I am pulling for you to make this decision because I know it's going to change the game. Like I'm pulling for you and like, I love you no matter what. That's what I think about. And I hope that they feel that.
love
But
that.
you keep your mouth shut and
Yeah.
pull for them. That's how I like to think about it. And honestly, I like to think about how thankful I am that they're even talking to me. Because you know what it's like to be ghosted.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what it's like for someone not to talk to you, and you know their lead. It's so painful. I try to just be so thankful that they are even just like willing to be here and to consider it.
And that's so good.
Yeah.
So what industries do your girls typically come from?
That's a good question. It's so interesting, Javi, because people will say, like, do you help people sell in X area, in X offer? What offer? Service-based, product-based. And I refuse to niche in a certain area because people start talking the same. They all start saying the same words and being like robots talking about their offer. And they think that people are buying their offer. And you know that they are not. And so
what are they buying?
They're buying the payoff of the offer.
Yep, love that.
So the whole point is actually to take the spotlight off the offer and onto the other person, onto the payoff. So I love getting people out of their industry and into, so we do a lot of practice, and you want people that are not in your industry and practice with them to make sure that they understand what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They start talking industry, and I'm like, no one understands you, and they don't even realize that. So we've had people in like pediatric dentistry is one.
Interesting.
We've had vets, we've had chiropractors, of course, like product-based, service-based, online marketing, real estate, a ton of real estate, insurance, brokers. We've had like painters, people who paint houses, all kinds of people. And that is what's so powerful, is that we're focused on the other person that you're talking to and the payoff that they get, not the offer. Because when you start obsessing over the offer, you start talking about the offer, and then they start getting all robotic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, stop. No one cares that it's 30 days. Stop saying that it's 30 days, you know?
Yeah.
So that's been a huge game changer for people.
What are the most common things that your girls struggle with in like the very beginning?
Their mind, how they think about selling. They think that they want to serve, and they think about serving as educating, and they think about serving as advising. But I don't know if you know persuade. If you break the word up, persuade, swade means to advise. Per means through to completion.
Oh, interesting.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah,
know
so
that.
you're advising through to completion.
Okay.
And so they think, okay, if I just have so much value and advise so much, people will like and buy from me. But they really need to think about how persuasion is their greatest superpower, and it is the most important thing to use. And people's thoughts about selling is like so gross and icky and yucky. And they are literally, if their superpower was in their hands and they thought about sales like that, they just take it and throw it away.
For sure.
And they just like stomp on it and don't even realize that that is the one thing that can change the game for them. So we really help them believe that sales is good. And you know, you were a car salesman. And did people hate you or?
I did. I mean, I left because I didn't like the culture, because it was like, it actually was one of those places that felt icky.
Really?
I mean, we were selling new cars and we were doing, you know, that type of stuff, that type of thing. And but yeah, I was only there for about a year.
Okay.
And then I was like, all right, I can't do it anymore.
Okay.
But anyway, go ahead.
People have this thought of like a car salesman. And so they're like, I hate sales.
Yeah.
But what they do not realize is that they have amazing sales experience with amazing people every day, but they don't see it as an amazing sales experience. They just think, oh, they're a great person.
Yeah.
I loved working with them. They're so amazing, but it was a great sales experience. So like, for example, a dentist like sold my dad on flossing every day. Okay. There's a difference between telling someone to floss and you should floss, and selling them on the action. And you know, your gums and your heart are really connected. Do you know this?
I did not know this.
Insanely important. Your heart health is a direct reflection of your gum health. And he had some heart problems. And so her selling him on flossing, she revealed that to him and was like, hey, you need to be available to like roll around the floor with your grandkids for the next decade. And like painted the payoff, painted the vision, painted the future. And he's like a manic flosser now. And I'm like, that is a salesperson. People are like, that's an amazing dentist. I'm like, no, their career is dentistry, but the action of selling someone is what made them actually be able to like help people, you know?
Yeah.
So helping people see that there are great salespeople everywhere is like my first mission.
And for the women who are now, okay, I got the mindset.
Yeah.
I have some skills. Like, what are those typical challenges that they're running into?
The actual skills?
Yeah, the actual skill set.
Yeah. Probably objections the most.
And what's your?
I'm curious what you think people struggle with the most.
Well, to me, the way I look at sales is if you do your job well enough, you should have pretty minimal objections by the end of it, right?
Okay.
So like I do my best to like pre-handle a lot of the stuff
ahead of time.
before I even get into like
Yeah.
my pitch or anything like that. Obviously, though, there are always going to be objections, no matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people don't practice enough as
No
well.
question. No question.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
So I think your ability to handle objections is a direct reflection of your, I like to call it evidence that you have stored up. Because sales is like you're proving a case. You're proving a case that your thing is worth the cost.
For sure.
And so if you are an attorney, you would never say, they're innocent, just trust me.
Yeah.
You're like, no, they're innocent, and here's my
here's why.
undeniable evidence that you cannot knock down. And so I think sometimes they struggle build it because it's not just evidence of like stories and other people making money, but it's like what other concepts in the world prove my case. So for example, me just breaking down persuade is a piece of evidence to prove what persuade really means and how selling is a good thing. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's building up your bank of evidence, and that's just reading, learning. Oh my gosh, like practicing speeches, I think is a great way to develop that.
For sure.
So that helps them handle objections ahead of time, and I think that's probably one of the things they need to work on the most.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like, I think it's just the practice too. Like once you have a
yeah.
few talk tracks, once you have a few ways to handle certain objections,
yeah.
it's just rehearsing and understanding.
For
the
sure.
And I think the biggest thing that salespeople struggle with is understanding who they're speaking to.
No question.
Yeah, I think they just end up having a great pitch for one
Yes.
person, and then they can only sell to that one person. They miss out on so many other sales.
Wow.
So
And when you mean, do you mean like the type of buyer that they are?
yeah, the type of buyer,
Yeah.
exactly, right? So they're
Like the analytics and yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you talk about that in your
Yeah, a
training?
little bit. I notice when we talk about that, people think that that's what matters the most. Do you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
kind of obsess over it. They're like, I think that there's type of buy. I'm like, okay. Let's like get the basics mastered.
For sure.
And so there's like a little more of an advanced version
Yeah.
that I'll bring in buying styles and because also people sell like they buy.
Yes.
So
and that's what I was thinking about earlier when I was talking about it. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
when people are value based and that kind of thing. So yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I mean, like for example, there's people who come from corporate. You can tell when someone's coming from corporate all day long because they're so like logical. They talk almost like there's red tape that they just like have to, And there are some people that love to be sold like that. They want the logics and they want the data, the ROI, all of that. But that's what I like to think that's like 25% of people.
Yeah, if that. For sure.
If that.
Yeah.
And so if you're talking like that always, you're missing 75% minimum of people. So you got to really be able to mirror whoever you're talking to. And that's a rep game, is being able to be around people enough to just sense like the type of questions that they're asking and like where are they leaning in and where are they nodding? Where do you feel like you're losing them if you're talking about numbers and you're losing them? And the worst thing is when people start over talking. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. They're like, wait, let me finish my sales pitch before you pull out your credit card. Like I've worked so hard on this. I just want to finish all the way through. And I'm like, shut your mouth.
Just close the deal.
Just shut your mouth.
So funny.
So, it's just, it is a rep game, like truly.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to people who say sales is manipulative?
I have to like watch my face because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, right?
how I can't even imagine that. I mean, if you believe that you have something that will change someone's life, it is your obligation to sell it.
Yes.
How is it? I'm trying to understand. I will say,
go ahead.
sales skills are really powerful. So if they're in the hands of the wrong people, that's the situation that I'm like, okay, not cool. But our training, our book is called Persuade for Good, like persuade for the good.
For sure.
And being that type of person that persuades for good, that has that right mind and heart and attitude is critical. So that's a huge part of our training as well. What would you say? I want to hear.
I mean, it's just it's all about the intent, right?
Yes.
So just like you mentioned, if like you're using your skill set because you know what you have is valuable and can actually help somebody, and that's what I like, and that's part of the reason why I love working here is because I was a product of the product that we're selling, right? So I've seen what it's done for my life, so it's so easy for me to hop on a sales call and sell well because I have wholeheartedly believe in my product or service, right? So that's what I always tell salespeople too, is like if you, number one, you better believe in what you're selling. And if you don't, you better go find another job because that if you don't have that, you're not going to sell as well, and then it becomes manipulative as well. Right? So I think there's two sides.
So let me ask you this. I'm curious. I know I had like my epiphany moment where I was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
This is game changing. I have gold. I can't wait to sell this thing.
Yeah.
This was probably 6 years ago. And then I remember feeling doubt start to creep up when I started to sell it. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, because I feel like salespeople are very, they can be emotional, they can be impacted, right? Because you're being told no
So much.
95% of the time.
Right.
I mean, well, probably a little bit less, hopefully.
Yeah.
But
In the beginning,
in the beginning it is
for
yeah.
sure.
It
Yeah.
depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a lot of times where like, you know, you come in, you go to your little training
Yeah.
and you show up, and you're like, wow, this is an amazing product.
Right.
People are gonna love this.
Right.
And then you get told no, and you're like, oh wait.
Yeah.
There's
And
a shadow of doubt that starts creeping in.
Right. And so
for
then
sure.
you're like, is this right? Is this good? So you start to question if you believe it. And then you're like, should I be selling it if I don't believe it? But do I
Exactly.
believe it? So it's this mind game
It
a little
is.
bit. And so what's interesting is like what I believe is that the more that you sell, the more sold you get. And because you're handling objections. So if you can handle any objection, no one can question. At this point, I dare you to question like my belief on selling.
Oh,
Like
for sure.
I'm so sold. But selling for, this for years is what has made me sold. So it's almost like getting in the practice of handling objections and building your case is what develops that certainty for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's, like you mentioned, it's just through repetition and
Oh my
like
gosh.
seeing the success. And the other thing too is like seeing the product perform the way it's supposed to, right?
Yeah.
So for us, like we make sure our sales team sees wins and they see like
Yes.
people in the community who are doing well and crushing it.
Yes.
So that's the other side of it too, to make
Yes.
sure that like you're seeing the success, because one of the worst things that I think you can do for salespeople is like
Yeah.
have them also be some customer support side of things, and then they start like because any small issue that comes up, all
They're
of a sudden,
like, oh yeah.
yeah, like the belief just decreases
down.
a little
Yeah.
bit, right? And you
Yeah.
have to be so bought in
Yeah.
in order for you to be successful.
Yeah.
So,
And I was thinking about too, like manipulative and how to think about sales. And before we started this interview, you're like, how do I raise my kid to be like an entrepreneur, your future kid?
yeah.
I will say, like, I was so blessed. My dad, growing up, I'll never forget. I went to like a friend's house one time, and I went to her house, and she had like a huge house. Like, those friends, you're
Yeah,
like,
you're like, "Whoa,
this is
this is money."
Like, I remember they had like their pantry shelves were like not wire shelves. They were like the nice shelves. And I came home and I was like, Dad, I got to tell you about this house. And all their pictures were like in Hawaii, and then it was like in the snow. And we didn't grow up with a lot of money.
Yeah.
His business
Where'd you
started
grow
to pick up. Where?
Yeah.
In Georgia.
Okay, got it.
And then it started to pick up when I got older. And I remember him saying, Macy, do you know what her dad does? And I said, I have no idea. And his next response was, whatever he does, he's probably in sales, and he probably helps a lot of people. That's like what he like helped me think. And every time we saw like a big house or like, a house on the beach, he'd be like, he's probably in sales and he probably helps a lot of people. So
just
like
kinda planting the seed.
seeding, because he started to learn sales. He didn't start learning sales until he was in his 30s after my sister was born. And so he started to kind of get in this flow of like, wow, selling is like so powerful. It's so important. My girls have like got to learn how to do this. And so he started seeding that so that's
So
why my face,
smart.
when you're like, is it manipulative? I'm like, I don't even know a universe where that could possibly be true.
100%.
Because it has never even been a reality that I've lived in.
Yeah.
Now, once I've started selling this, people will tell it to me, and I can't even get on that same page, which is good, So
Yeah, well, it's just because it's not even in your belief system.
oh no,
right?
I don't even
Yeah.
know why you would think that. Yeah, yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
So now, how big's your community today?
In terms of like
In terms of people.
like followers or people who are in the program?
In the program.
In the program. Okay, so we've had over 2,000 in the way we used to do it. And now we have a mastermind inner circle, and I think we have like 20 people in there. And then we have our sales mastery boot camp, which is our brand new rendition of the program. We just started selling that in October, and I think we have about 50 people in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and where do people typically like start? Is it in that big community?
So I'm telling you, when we say we like kind of burned it down and rebuilt, like
We just did the same thing. so
yeah,
don't feel bad.
I don't feel bad. I'm like proud of it.
you
I'm
like
proud of
relieved,
it.
yeah.
I feel so confident in this model because we've tried so many other things.
So tell me about the model now.
Yeah, so the challenge is the best place to start. Sell your offer challenge. People are winning like crazy in that. I know you guys do workshops. I love the word challenge. I don't know if you'd be willing to
No,
change
we've
it.
done challenges
Okay.
too. So
or even just changing the word.
Yeah.
Because challenge makes people feel like, okay, I'm being challenged to
Mm-hmm.
think different and to do different.
And with the challenge, are you giving them like action items
Oh,
too? Or
yes.
because I've seen other people do a challenge, but
Yeah.
it's just a 2-day webinar.
Oh no. No. Okay. Well, let me just be clear for just a second. There's definitely things that are like a webinar. It's like you're gonna think that you're learning something, but I'm actually gonna sell you something.
Yeah.
This ain't that. Like
Good.
this is. Oh, we have do you know what Trustpilot is? Where people review
Yeah.
things. The reviews are like some of the best I've ever seen. If I do say so myself, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or
Yeah,
anything.
I love it.
So they're gonna learn something, and I make it really clear. Like I'm gonna sell you an offer. Like what a hypocrite I would be to have a sell your offer challenge and then to not sell you an offer.
it.
I'm gonna sell you an
I
offer.
bet you it does well like that too.
Oh,
because
like-
you're like, oh, it meant you get to your offer part.
Oh yeah,
And then
but
here it is.
like there was a girl after day one. She like followed up in a different way and landed a $12,000 retainer,
Wow.
and she paid $297 for it. And part of it was just changing how she thought about following up. The following up is easy. It's like the drama in your mind about the following up. And she just took one little sentence that I said. I like having these like little epigrams. She's like, I just took that and I put it in an email and I framed it for her, and she did the $12,000 sale. So people are winning majorly.
Love it.
Changing how they think, renovating their mind, and they take different. I set it up and I'm like, hey, a challenge, the word challenge means dual. Like if you look it up, it means dual. And so the way I think about it, it's like your current identity is dueling your future identity. And what's in between those two identities is the action that you take.
Love it.
So like go all in.
So what's the action item that they do, or what's the challenge portion of it?
So it's 5-day challenge.
Okay.
So each day is a little bit different. It builds on itself. So all about persuasion is so what I have them do is I actually have them take the action in the Facebook group selling the challenge.
I love that. Okay.
Because I want to see what they're selling, and I want us all to talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I tell them, take these principles and go do it on your Instagram.
Got it.
But for your homework in the challenge, and also I really like to look for their certainty. I'm like, I want to see you talk with conviction and belief, and not from a script that you want to say. So I tell them to tell me about the value of the challenge, what you would say to a specific person about the challenge. We teach them how to have like specific conversations, but also how to sell to the masses and how to get people into a final decision. So we take them each day it kind of stacks, and we get them all the way into a sale. I mean, people are making sales by day 5.
That's so good.
I don't want to say guaranteed, but like almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many people do you typically get in some of these challenges?
That's a good question. So I think the most we've had is like 180.
I love that. And then
then
is it
about
like an
80.
hour? Is it an hour a day, 2 hours a day?
So VIP is 2 hours a day, and they get an hour of coaching, and that is game changing. Because what's cool is you can, and obviously you've done workshops and stuff, but when you have the coaching session, I can actually frame the challenge based on the coaching, which just helps them even so much more. I can do it
sure.
on the fly really easily.
Yeah.
And then the general mission is just the hour, but a lot of people end up upgrading after day 1 to get coaching.
Oh yeah, we typically have a ton of like because
Do you do that?
we do VIP hour as well.
Okay.
And yeah, we end up getting a ton of people who opt in.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Who does the
because,
coaching in your VIP?
Ryan. So
Oh, cool.
well, both of us are in there, and then
Okay.
so like I would say he talks like 90% of the time. Then I'll
Cool.
chime in and like say a thing.
And
here
is it
there.
real estate focused or not always?
So we do both. So we have a
Okay.
business
Yeah.
focused one, and then we have a real estate focused
Okay.
one.
So the business focused one, what kind of questions would you say most people are asking?
Most people are asking like how to market. That's like the
Yeah.
biggest thing, and that's what a lot of people come to us for because we're spending. We're spending at least like $200,000 to $300,000 a month on paid advertising. And I'm
Wow.
not saying that's like just relatively speaking
Yeah.
in the community, like that's.
And you have an
decent amount.
in-house person doing ads?
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
have an in-house person doing all of our ads. We film all of our creative in
Yeah.
these studios.
Yeah.
And we're just constantly iterating and testing.
Wow.
And then that's just on the education side. We probably spend about another 50 on the real estate
Wow.
side for like our house flipping operation, all that type of stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's how we get a lot of our people.
Yeah. And so are they asking about ads specifically, or they don't even, they're
They
just
don't-
saying marketing?
Yeah, they're like, well, because the biggest thing, like we talked about it, I think before, is like a lot of people come in because like I need SOPs, I need help with that.
Right.
So we do a section on that during the actual 6-hour workshop. But to answer your question, I think a lot of them ask about how do I get more leads?
Yeah.
How do I close more deals? How do I convert more? But it
Yeah.
all starts with marketing.
Yeah.
So that's like I mentioned it earlier, but our core, like the way we break it down, it's like number 1 is your offer.
Yeah.
Got to get straight on that. Then number 2 is how do you market? How are you going to get people in the door? Then sales.
Oh, really?
Then ops. Then finance.
Okay.
It's kind of like our framework, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. The way I think, and I'm like realizing I think I'm wrong here, is I'm like sales minded, always have been.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's like a marketing skill that is not the same.
For sure.
As
Well,
sales
you
skills.
can. The way I look at it is you can probably get to six, maybe like mid six figures just with, and depending on what your offer is, but just with good sales skills.
You think so?
I think so. Just with
We did $1 million in their third year.
yeah, but because you had a brand.
I
How were you acquiring customers?
So I was in network marketing first. And then when I realized we had this gold mine, we probably spent about a year. Remember, my dad had all these spreadsheets, really getting it organized because it was a mess. And that whole year while we were organizing, I was selling beliefs. So I had this like audience that want to talk about health and fitness, but I was selling the belief that everyone's in sales.
And how were you prospecting?
It was all Instagram stories. I did everything on Instagram
Marketing.
stories. Oh, okay. So but I think that's
not paid.
No, okay.
So, well, I guess I guess it depends on what you
I
consider.
thought about my Instagram stories as like I'm selling them on beliefs. That's
Yeah.
how I thought.
But you're using a platform. Like,
Yeah. So you think a platform is smart? Like
yeah. Well, I
that's
think
what
so because you're posting a story
Yeah.
that's going out to a lot of people.
Okay. So
Right.
would you say that like your sales message is marketing is like a megaphone of your sales message?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's a sales message. So like when we're creating videos to bring people in the door and we're selling them, but the channel that we're using would
Okay.
be a marketing channel.
Okay,
So,
well, I got to
using
tell
social
you,
media.
I'm in Russell Brunson's inner circle, and I just went to an event, and they were talking about how like a sales message is not the same thing as a marketing message,
Oh my
and you
gosh.
have to sell the hook, not sell the offer. And my brain, I'm still trying to understand exactly what
Yeah.
they were talking about. I'm like, do I know anything? do I know anything right now?
The tough part is everybody uses different terms
I
for
don't.
different
That's
things.
what I'm saying. What is marketing to you? Because I don't know.
So to me, sales is like one-to-one.
Okay.
Or maybe,
Oh,
or
okay,
maybe,
see.
or maybe one-to-many
Yeah.
in like a webinar style
got
or
it.
like a challenge style.
Got it.
That is selling.
Okay.
But how you get them
people
to
in is marketing. Okay,
So that's
got it.
that's the way
Thank
I look at it. But so that's what I mean. So you can get pretty far just prospecting
Okay,
and
yeah.
finding people and,
Okay.
and closing deals. But in order for you to
Yeah.
reach the million mark, you have to go one-to-many.
Okay,
and
yeah.
that's
So I've
marketing.
been doing one. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
you for that.
Yeah, but and so that's why we always focus on marketing
Got
first.
it.
But yeah, so tell me a little bit more about
Yeah.
like how this all built because we
Yeah.
haven't even talked about that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I told you my dad had been building up sales material for
Mm-hmm.
30 years to teach his own staff. I wonder if Ryan's like this, but my dad was like, everyone's gonna know how to sell. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, we're gonna have sales culture, no matter if you're the janitor, the receptionist, or the CFO. Like, you have sales skills. So that was his mission, is to create a sales culture, and that's what he used to teach me. And so when I realized we had something, he said we have to practice. And so I think our first cohort had like 20 people in it.
Wow.
And I think we sold it for like $700 at the time. And I just my mind was,
Was that like your light bulb moment?
oh my goodness. I was like, what is happening right now? I could not believe it. And so we had cohort style, and our second cohort ever, there was a girl in there. Her name was Catherine Schubert. And she had like a 3-week-old baby at the time, and it changed her life too. It changed most people's lives, but for her, it like turned her life upside down because she was really like fun and sweet and cute and nice and was posting, and like no one was buying. She's like, I'm so smart. I have everything working for me. Why isn't this working? And when she had the sales skills, it changed everything. So she made the commitment. She said, every time you do this, I'm coming. Every
love
time.
that.
So we had built a studio, and we had people come in person once a month. We were doing online once a month. I was doing like corporate trainings at the time. I was like really pumping it out. And she was just there. Every time she was front row, and she would just like raise her hand to always add some sort of new concept and idea. And I kind of joked. I was like, do you just want to like be up here with me? Because it was so good.
Yeah.
She was like, honestly, yes. Next thing you know, her and I are teaching together.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And we taught together for a year. And then she was so good. I was like, you just need to be a part of this. So she's my partner. She's my co-CEO.
That's so good.
She has a 4-week-old baby. She's in Vegas right now with us, but she's at the hotel with her baby. But she was huge in making this what it is.
It's so
like,
funny.
Huge, yeah.
Because the best people for employees and partners all come through like our community. Like that's how I started. You're gonna meet him, but I don't know if you met him yesterday, Brian. So he was Ryan's first student.
So cool.
So now he's our partner on the real estate side.
Cool.
And so like I feel like when you build a community and when you're providing so much value, that's where like the most bought in and most engaged people.
I'm telling you, yeah. And people will ask, they're like, "How did you find, a partner?" I'm like, wasn't looking for one. I wanted Kat. Like I wanted her. Like she was so special and smart and brilliant. So yeah, she came on, and let me tell you, that girl is brilliant. She's really special. So she's my partner, and we've been the Sales Girls ever since.
I love it.
Yeah.
So for people who are building a community and, just trying to, build something that's educational, what are the common mistakes, or like what are some mistakes that you've made along the way that people typically run into?
I'm looking at my creative director because I'm like,
she's like,
it's been a lot.
She's like,
how much time we got?
Do you have?
What are mistakes that we've made? I don't even know where to begin. In what arena?
Let's just say,
oh yeah.
Ooh, okay, but
yeah. Okay, so for so much of, I think I told you this, but like for most of our path, we have obsessed over the actual program. And I'm telling you, she's good. Like the program is where it's at. But almost all of our focus went into making the program amazing, and absolutely no focus went into exposure, marketing.
Yep. There it is.
Brand. Yep. Like I used to get so upset when people would be like, "I'm building my brand." Like I can't sell because I'm building my brand. And my thought was like, are they thinking about like going to get photo shoots done?
Yeah.
Because I have done a lot of money without doing a single photo shoot. Like you don't need to play on Canva to build a brand. And so it's like, what do you define as brand is like the question, And, Myron is my coach. And the more that I talk to him about brand, he's like, brand, if you get your brand right and mix the right ingredients, it can fast track so much. And I'm telling you, when I never thought about building a brand, not once, I thought about selling the offer and creating world-class sales girls, like whatever it takes to do that. And so now I'm like, okay, the program is like really, and I have this belief that it's never finished. It's always iterating.
I agree with that.
And so I'm like, I always need to iterate, make it better, better, better. But I have not put any energy into like doing stuff like this. I'm like, I need to get up in some rooms, I feel like even Myron, he told me, he was like, you girls are one of the best kept secrets. And I'm like, yes. And I hate that. Like, I hate that. Like I know that ends today. So that's been my new obsession is exposure. Because people are like, who are you? I'm like, we're the best in the business. That's what I believe, obviously.
As you should.
Yeah. So that has been huge. Gosh, not being in rooms. The meeting of the right people has changed my life.
And that's
drastically.
Where these masterminds are so important.
Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
It's been game changing. What is like a win that you've had from being in a mastermind?
I mean, working here. But I think so. We spend probably like $100,000 to $200,000 a year
at least
in masterminds. I know Myron's is expensive.
You don't even know.
No, I mean because we have a couple of people that we know who are also in it.
Oh, really?
And it's pricey, but I'm sure it's been worth it. And that's the thing. People, if you go in and you mastermind, you network, you will get the value out of it tenfold.
And what is wild is it's just the little offside interactions and conversations that's like what makes it worth it.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's been crazy. Like one of the, someone bought our $125,000 offer from being in the mastermind. And so what this person said to me, so she had like a $7 million business and I knew I could help her. Like just hearing the way she talked about sales, hearing the way she was thinking, I was like, what is going on? Like how I can help you? What? Yeah. And so we were kind of talking and she asked me how much my offer was. And at the time it was $4,000. And she's like, oh, I would never pay that. She's like, I never think you could help me with that price. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, bet,
Yeah.
And so that's when we started to change our pricing and I basically made an offer for her.
Wow.
And it like really helped her clients. And just that experience alone changed my brain chemistry forever. Forever.
In what way? Just because you're like, I'm undervaluing myself? Or?
Well, I just was like, like the way that there's a universe where I can help someone who has a $9 million or $7 million business. It just blew my mind. Yeah. Because usually, we just help people that are like building up to $1 million, like hitting that first $1 million mark. It was just really cool.
I love that.
And just being in a room with people that I can like keep up with, that it, people talk about stuff, and sometimes I'm like, what? Like in Russell's mastermind, I'm like, what exactly are they talking about right now? And so sitting there and be like, wow, I can like understand, and I actually like can run with you. It's been huge.
Yeah, I think that's the final thing that you just said is like understanding that you can run with them.
Yeah.
And just like understanding that you have some value.
Oh, yeah.
And I could even tie this back into sales, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of our guys upstairs, when we talk, because they talk to some guys who are already doing millions of dollars in their business, and obviously they haven't done that personally, right? So understanding that they can still hang, and what they have to offer is valuable.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important for people.
Oh my gosh.
It's just they're a little further along in the game than you are.
Stallions run with stallions.
I love that.
And when you get up in a room with stallions, like you become one real quick.
For sure. And because you almost have no choice not to.
Yeah.
Because as long as you've already, you know who you are and you know what you're doing, it's
Yeah.
just going to elevate you
Yeah.
a ton. So what's
Yeah.
on the roadmap for you for the rest of the year?
Ooh, so many things. So we have our SalesGirls Summit coming up.
Ooh, fun.
Which is our conference. And we have some amazing speakers that are going to be there. It's June 12th through the 14th. Listen, Javi, I know we're the sales girls, but we've had 2 men recently buy our program.
I would love to be a sales girl.
It's like Geek Squad. You don't call the geeks to be a geek. You call the geeks to work with a geek,
exactly.
You just work
I
with
love
the
that.
sales girls. So Sales Girl Summit, and there are quite a few people already signed up. I'm so excited. Myron's going to be there. He's going to be speaking, which is
how
so
good.
exciting.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing right now, Sales Girl Summit. We're going to blow it out of the house, and I can't wait.
Yeah. So tell me about, so this is your first big event?
Yeah, I've had like a 300-person event before a couple years ago, and decided I was going to take a break after I did that. I said that was hard.
It is hard.
But I'm ready now. I'm ready. I'm revved up.
And so where's the event at?
It's in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Okay.
And it's really going to be a lot about, honestly, it goes back to this concept of selling your offer and like stop selling your offer. Like, please stop selling it and start selling to the people and the payoff. And it's going to change your brain chemistry forever about sales.
And how much are tickets?
They range from so
$497 to $1997.
yeah. So
okay.
Javi, one thing about me is I tell people not to sell their offer. And so sometimes I don't sell my offer, and so I don't know the details of the offer all the time.
That's good.
I'm like, I just know the payoff, and it's going to change your brain forever.
You better be there.
Yeah. So $497 up to $19, and the platinum, we're going to do some coaching at lunch.
And you're doing that all direct, no sales team?
Yeah.
See, that blows my mind.
Yeah. You want to be my sales girl?
I'll be your sales girl. I will hop on the phone right now.
I would love I would love a sales team. I think it's so hard. I was actually just listening to an Alex Hormozy podcast, and he's like, the more that you just give away, let go of control, but like you're still responsible. It's a weird dynamic.
It is
for me personally. I'm working through.
Because for us, we've always had a sales team for all
that's
of our
crazy.
tickets. So because and I guess it makes sense because we got to fill the room, and we do this every quarter, and it's just easier for us. So
I think we're gonna like really play an affiliate game.
Ooh,
here.
okay, that's smart.
Yeah. Because the best sales girls know sales girls, and it is kind of a like bring your friend kind of energy, your business bestie. So we'll do business bestie. Yeah. So we'll do an affiliate play, and also like anyone that's coming to the challenge, they are the like perfect person to. So we've had probably 700, 800 people come through the challenge that we've done it since October. So really retargeting them.
Yeah,
we'd love to get them in the room.
Reaching out to them. That's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
Literally, yes, because we just launched our next WealthCon with with the dates and the speakers and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And instantly, text, email goes out. Hey, just because it's our alumni pass. So just because you went to the last one, now here's a ticket
for like a certain price. Is that what we do?
Oh yeah. Okay. So this is our first time that we're going like $97 for a GA.
For WealthCon?
Yeah.
Wow.
So usually a GA is $1,000.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Just testing it.
That's cool.
And like, hey, the thing is, so we're a Christian company.
Yeah,
and
I love
we
it.
do so Ryan always jokes that WealthCon's kind of a bait and switch because we have a worship service on.
Oh, that's so good.
On the second day.
What?
And you should come.
That's amazing. I want to. When is it?
July. I'll get you tickets, but it's July 19th through the 21st.
Okay.
So the way it started was he started with like, okay, I'm just gonna do a prayer,
so good.
and then like 200 people showed up. And he's like, oh, what the heck? And then
People
he's
are
like,
hungry.
all right. So then he did it again.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know what? Screw it. Like, it's my event. I'm going to do a worship service.
Absolutely.
So we have like a full concert. We've gotten great pastors to come out and like they do like a little sermon in the beginning. We used to do it before the actual event. So we'd say like from 8 to 9. And then now it's part of it. So it's like from 9 to 10. If you want to attend, great. If you don't, all good. But
That is awesome.
The thing is, like, and we don't even advertise it as a Christian event. But like 90% of the room's full, like for the worship service. And we're like, why are we charging so much when and like I mentioned, he jokes that it's a bait and switch. It's a business event and it's really trying to get people into the thing. So.
Well, I think entrepreneurs specifically are hungry for it because you go to church. I mean, not always, but it's like, they don't talk about why you should make money.
Exactly.
And I know when I found Myron, like for him to talk about business principles based on the Bible and how like earning money is noble and is good, I'm just so hungry for that. So to be, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
completely.
And because it just amplifies everything that you can do. You can
Yes.
give to the cause that you care about. You can, get more importantly, like not more importantly, but you get to take care of your family. You can take care of your church. You can. It's just you need it. Honestly, it's
100. I think Myron might have said this. If he didn't, I'm not 100% sure, but he was like, the church tells you like how to give money or how important it is to give, but they don't tell you how important it is to make it so that you can give it.
Exactly.
And I know I've heard Grant Cardone talk about how I think it was Grant Cardone, how he like was in a charity event and he watched someone like write the biggest check and he was like, that's the person I want to be. Like to be in a room, to write the biggest check that makes the most impact. Like that's where the impact like really happens.
Exactly.
Like that's who I want to be.
1,000%.
So it's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. And then we finally, now we've launched, so we have our nonprofit called Wealthy Kingdom.
So good.
So totally free. Christian entrepreneurs come in. I think we launched like 60 Bible studies all across the U.S.
So good.
That's Ryan's like main mission.
Wow.
Like he's like, all this is great, but it funds the nonprofit.
So good.
And so, speaking of events, so we're launching our first like Kingdom event.
Wow.
So it's an actual like Christian branded event.
Wow.
One day, got some great speakers. It's May 21st, I think, or something like that.
Cool.
But anyway, so we're all in on the event game because I think people, since like just coming off COVID, everyone's trying to like just go build community.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned earlier, getting the right rooms is so important. So we've seen it where I think that the reason why we've been able to do this every quarter is because we have people that want to be, that have done deals, have met, and have so many success stories. Like I mentioned, one guy raised like $8 million for a real estate deal.
Insane.
Like just in the hallways. So it's crazy. So I'm pulling for you. I hope that this event does well.
Thank you.
And like, what is your, if you can tell me, like what's going to be the pitch from stage? If you don't want to say it.
So it's going to be Sales Mastery Boot Camp, but we have something so sweet for this specific offer. Never seen before. Javi, I'll tell you off camera, but it is going to be incredible.
I love it.
It's so sweet.
So what's the framework of the event? So how many days?
Yeah. So it's 2.5 days.
Love it. Okay.
And I know what I'm speaking. Mostly. That's what I'm focused on. We have some fun kind of games and stuff that we're going to do at the beginning. And basically what we're going to do is people are going to come and we're going to basically have people apply in the middle of day one. And then we're only going to share the offer with people that have applied. So the application will be like a 2-fold sheet.
Got it.
And if they have the pink sheet, then they can come in and hear the offer and the special things that are coming with it. And the reason that is like, I just like love it when people put a little effort to hear something of value.
And is that Myron's strategy?
It is Myron's strategy.
Got it.
And I like it. It almost helps people sell themselves on the application. So it's not like a survey, like, oh, they just want to hear this. It's like, no, here's why you want to consider me for the offer. And we do that in our challenge as well.
And then are you going to do any call to action or pitch to everybody or no?
So we'll do something called like a repitch.
Got it.
And it won't really be about the offer though. It'll be about the identity.
Yeah, it's like, who do you want to become?
Who do you want to become? And I have done a repitch where people came and did not apply and they ended up buying.
Yeah.
So that doesn't always happen, but people they they start to see themselves differently in the repitch. So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. that's my favorite thing to do is the repitch. I do
Cool.
that for
So
people.
that's coming up. What else is on the roadmap for you?
So let's see, this June. And then we are going on a really cool New York trip in October.
Is
We're gonna
that
bring
with
some,
the entire
we're
community
going to bring
or some of them?
some of our mastermind girls and a few other people.
Ooh, what are you guys going to do?
You know what's really we had this like epiphany moment of how Kat's husband Carl, he was like eating a hot dog, and he was like, "Man, I just want to go to New York. Like, I just want to go to New York and have a hot dog." And Kat was like, "It is so crazy. You could go to Costco and get a hot dog, or you could pay $10,000 to go to New York just to have the hot dog for no other reason than the experience that it brings."
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you create an experience within your offer that people could get it one place or another, but they desire to pay $10,000 for it
Yep.
just to have the experience? And like, how do you be somebody that people would pay to be in your presence?
Yep.
So that is the mastermind that's going to be in New York. And so I'm
so
really excited
good.
about that. And
Isn't
yeah.
it how cool is it that you can just decide, hey, I'm gonna go to New York
Oh, yeah.
on a vacation,
Yeah.
but I'm also gonna bring my girls with me.
Well, what's also funny is
Yeah.
one of our favorite video girlies, she just moved to New York for a little bit. And we've been saying we want to go see her anyway for her to like film content. We're like, all of this hot dog talk, she's in New York. I'm like, let's just go. That's just how we do it. Yeah. So that's happening in November. And that's only for certain, it's not like a free, it's for our mastermind.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then listen, we were actually just talking, literally this morning in the hotel, we were talking about Taylor Swift.
I went to the Eras Tour twice.
Y'all, you and Courtney need to go have a conversation
We'll
later.
chat.
But we were just talking about her ability to drop Easter eggs like 5 years in advance.
Oh yeah.
And how she knows something's coming in 5 years and talks about it today or drops Easter eggs today.
Yeah.
And our greatest strength is moving quickly. Our greatest weakness is moving quickly because we don't like spend enough time building the pressure, building the, so literally today we're like, what if we just plan something huge for 5 years from now and just started like dropping things?
Little hints here and there.
I don't know what it's going to be. So
That would be cool.
but we're like, what? Like we're just dreaming. If there was no restrictions, we could do anything we wanted. What would it be?
Yeah.
In 5 years from now,
That's
like 5
so
years is a
fun.
long way
That
away.
is a long way.
A
Like,
lot of things can happen.
A lot of
in
things
5 years.
change. Yeah. Like
That's what-
I have a hard time planning a week in advance.
I'll tell you what. Like it's got to be almost unbelievable that it could happen.
Yeah.
And then kind of back up from there. So
I love that.
But we move. So we shoot and then we aim. I don't know. It probably sounds like
Yeah.
you a little bit.
Like it's so funny that you said our greatest. Like we do our quarterly planning.
Oh, yeah.
And so we say like, hey, what's working in the business? What's not working in the business?
Yeah.
And we do like a little SWOT analysis type thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so like strengths and weaknesses, I put both speed
and speed. I know.
But I would, and I agree with this school of thought where I would rather try a bunch of things,
Yeah.
fail fast, and then figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody else is going to figure out in 6-7 months.
Yep.
And even though we like tried a bunch of stuff and they didn't work,
Yep.
we figured it out now.
Yep.
And so I'm calling it. There's going to be all these communities like these like short, low ticket, $97 things in like the next year.
You think so?
100%. Just because like we're already seeing it. And so you mentioned affiliates. We've gotten more affiliate requests in the last
Really?
2 to 3 months
Yeah.
than we've had like ever
Yeah.
from people just reaching out because times are getting tough out there. Like I mentioned, people
Yeah.
aren't, some people
Listen.
aren't spending, a ton of money.
Russell just did a whole talk on affiliates at the
Yeah.
mastermind. He's like, you're either going to pay Mark Zuckerberg or you're going to pay people that are like in your community to
For
do
sure.
the same thing. He's
Yeah.
like, why wouldn't we just pay affiliates? So he's all about, but
Yeah.
he's like, his belief is you have to have an entire human and maybe even a team to manage affiliates.
100%.
If you do it right and do it
Yeah.
well. And what he does to keep them focused and keep their attention. He's like, influencers, you lose them so quickly. You got to keep their
Yeah.
focus right. So it's really cool to hear him talk about affiliates.
For
'cause-
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like we've played around with them, but a lot of us like we just we already have a team, so we
Yeah.
just rather
Oh,
just
yeah.
do our stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think affiliates are going to get bigger, and
Yeah.
then and again, smaller communities and more affiliates are
Small, you mean it's lower level ticket?
lower ticket, I should say.
It's a volume game.
Yeah, it's going to be a volume game just to
Yeah.
get them in the door, so that way they know I can trust you, and then
Yeah.
buy the high ticket.
Yeah.
Is my guess, and
Yeah.
then more events. I've seen way more events sprout
Sprout up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Events are game changer. So
Yeah.
your $97 a month, is there content?
Yeah,
Or
so they
just-
get
okay.
access. We give them all of our courses. So we
Okay, so
have,
the calls that they have once a week are coaching based on what the courses are.
so it's just Q&A with Ryan.
That's it.
That's it. So
Wow.
they get all of our courses.
When you say all of your courses.
So we have real estate course, social media course, business builder course.
Wow.
Wealth
Do you sell
builder
those
course.
separately or no?
We used to back in the day, but for us, it's just like
I get it.
The revenue. I'd rather
Honestly,
just give them away for free.
It's pretty brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Really smart.
we have 2 offers. We have a 10K, a 30K, and then 100 with Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a lot of fun. So
I've learned so much. This has been. Thank you for sharing all your
course.
juice.
So last question before I let you get out of here.
All right.
If you had to leave the earth tomorrow,
Stop. I'm already started crying.
what's one thing you want to leave us with?
I start thinking about my kids immediately.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. See, one thing about sales girls.
Sales girls feel, guys.
All salespeople.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Oh my God. So salespeople, we sell an emotion.
As
And
you
so
should.
sometimes you're like so overly emotional. It's gorgeous.
Pull the camera out.
You're so overly emotional that you can't put words to it. So that's why having a framework is so powerful. You can take your emotion, put it into words. And so when you're overly emotional, you either start crying or like talk like a word salad.
Yeah.
Gosh, what would I tell who?
Just what would you want? Like, what would you want the world to know?
The
about you?
world?
Yeah. it's
About
like-
me?
Yeah. It's just like, so I always ask this question at the end.
So
yeah, if you
I
had-
should have done my research on this.
But yeah, so if you disappeared tomorrow,
Yeah.
like what's one thing you want
Gosh,
people to know?
I just would tell women specifically to go for it.
That's so good.
I really would. Like if there's a desire in your heart, it is there for a reason. And I just talk to women so much that just push it away because they think it's noble to be like more available for other people, for their families, for other things. But their actual like full potential isn't available. And that's what people need. Like your kids and your families need you that has experienced so much failure, that has experienced rejection, that has experienced the ups and downs so that you can be someone to like coach your kids. You can be someone that you can look at your kids and say you can be anything and do anything and they can believe you because they've seen you do it too.
100%.
Like that is more valuable than anything. You don't have to sacrifice your entire life. You don't have to not be there for anything. In fact, you will be there 100 times more if you go for the desires of your heart. That's what I would tell them.
That is so good. I got nothing to add. That's it. Thank you so much, guys. Peace.